welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Amanda. So in today's What's for Dinner video, I've got some really quick and easy meal ideas for you. We really enjoyed these and I think that you will too. Now this video is also really special because it's in collaboration with my friend Tamara over at Southern Wife Everyday Life. She does all kinds of like what's for dinner, grocery hauls. She even does a lot of things about prepping, building your pantry, all that stuff like that. So I think y'all will really enjoy her channel. So make sure you head over there and give her some love. If you're coming over from Tamara's channel, welcome. And of course, if you're returning, welcome back as well. I do all kinds of recipes. It's really a lot of food content here. It's really just all about the food. So if that sounds good to you, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. But I'm excited to share these recipes with y'all, so let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's get started on the tuna pasta salad. So this is super flexible and I don't really have like a firm recipe. This is just kind of more of a taste and see what you like kind of thing. But I'm boiling some noodles here. I like to use the tricolor rotini, and you want to boil those until they're kind of al dente. Now I'm going to use these pickles instead of like using relish. You could use relish in it, but these have such low sodium in them. And I can't find any relish that's that low sodium, so I went ahead and used these instead. But definitely feel free to sub anything in this that you like. This is just such a quick and easy recipe, especially if you don't want to really do much cooking, because really the only cooking to this is boiling your noodles, and when it's so hot outside, it's nice not to have to cook too much. And it has been really hot here. Let me know what your temperatures have been like where you live. I'm looking forward to fall already so that it cools down. So I've just got one pack of the tuna. You could definitely add more here. This is really totally personal preference. So basically what I'm kind of doing is what I make tuna salad, which I just do tuna, mayonnaise. I use a little bit of mustard and of course my pickles or relish, of course. But I also add a little bit of ranch seasoning powder. Mine's a homemade ranch, so you definitely can, have your own homemade ranch, or if you want to, buy like the Hidden Valley or whatever kind like that you have on hand. I put a little bit of that in there, and this really is going to be to taste. So taste it, once you get everything kind of mixed together and see what it needs. And you could also, add a lot of different things to this too. So feel free to kind of like make it your own. This is just something that I really enjoyed eating lately, and I thought I'd share it with y'all. It's just my daughter had kind of come up with the idea, and I kind of did my own changes to it too. So like I said, totally, make it your own and substitute things that you might like. And you also, I think what would be good is ranch dressing. If you don't have your ranch mix, if you want to mix in a little ranch dressing in here, that would be really good too. Because this tastes best when it's made right then and eat it then. Once it kind of sits overnight, it really soaks in so much of that dressing that I really prefer to eat it the day of. If it sits overnight in the fridge, I do tend to add like a little more mayonnaise, and then I did add some actual like ranch dressing, and that made it great again. So, creamy again and everything. So you're really wanting this to be a more creamier consistency than actual tuna salad. And you can always add more, ingredients if you need to. And you'll see me, I add some of the pasta, I stir it up, I see how it is, and then I'm like, okay, I can add the rest of the pasta. So this is nothing that I use measurements on. I'll have the ingredients listed down below, but I unfortunately don't really have like direct measurements. But it really is like just eyeball it, kind of, use what you like and taste as you go along and see, how you like it. So it's just really a good kind of guideline to go by. And like if you have a favorite tuna salad recipe, just make that maybe a little creamier and then add your pasta in there with it. Maybe, if you want to throw like the ranch dressing mix or, anything else that you like in there. Now, I also like to add some shredded cheese to mine. I just use sharp cheddar. You could put whatever you like in here. You don't have to put cheese in it. My daughter, when she makes this for herself, she doesn't usually use cheese. So I like the cheese in there, but again, make it your own, whatever you like. And my favorite way to eat this is just with some chips. I actually get Kroger and Walmart both have like their store brand lightly salted chips, and so I get those, like the ones with, I guess, ridges or whatever you call them, kind of like ruffles. And I just love this together. It's so good. Also, I'm sure like some veggies would go along with it, like broccoli, things like that, whatever you like to serve with it, but that's how I like it. So now we're going to get started on our Western omelet quiche. I had never made this before, but it sounded really good, and I had some ham in my freezer that I needed to use up, so I thought this would be a great way to do it. Now this is just a frozen blend of peppers, red and green peppers, and onions. I think it's actually called a sofrito blend, and so I got that, and I have loved it. I've used it so much, so I highly recommend this blend. It's just really handy. So now I did pre-bake my crust for 5 minutes, and I did that from frozen, and I had some cracks in there, so after it baked for a few minutes, I went ahead and just kind of patted those together and got them back together again for the most part. We're just putting in our ham and our cheese, and then we're going to make up our custard mixture with our eggs. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I love breakfast for dinner. It's such a yummy and easy thing to do. So let me know if y'all enjoy breakfast for dinner too, and maybe what a few of your favorite things to have, for dinner when you're doing breakfast for dinner is too. So now in my bowl, I've got some half and half, 6 eggs, some garlic, black pepper, onion powder, and ground mustard. And I'm just mixing that all together. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our veggies that we cooked. And you really just saute those just for a minute, just to get them a little softened. And with them being frozen, they really don't take but just a minute or two. So now we're just going to go ahead and whisk that up, and we're going to go back to our pie shell. Now we didn't use all of our ham and cheese. We're actually going to put some of our custard mixture in there, and then we're going to finish topping it with some more ham and cheese, and then the rest of the mixture. And so kind of layering it a little bit. I'd actually never done that with a quiche before. It seemed to work fine. I'm not sure if it's any different necessarily than when I've done it just all mixed together, but it worked fine, so that worked out. I did cut back just a little bit on the cheese and the ham. I was afraid it would be too salty, so definitely, do what you like on that. If you like, more cheese, and you could also swap out cheese too and stuff like that, whatever kind you like. And it had actually been quite some time since I'd made a quiche with like a pie crust. And I just forgot how good they were, because I really do. I love it either way. I love I guess it's more like a frittata or like a, baked egg dish or things like that. And I like that too. So, but it's nice to have the crust every now and then too. So we're just going to bake this for 10 minutes at 375, and then we're going to drop that down to 350, and it's going to bake for about 20 to 30 more minutes. I think mine did 25. You'll see it's kind of puffed up here after it comes out of the oven, and then I'm going to jiggle it for you so that you can see that center is set, and that's how you know it's done. And I'm just going to let it cool on this cooling rack for I think I'll let it cool for about 20 minutes, and that's going to help it to be easier to get out, to cut a slice of it. And I'm just cutting me a slice here. That's always the most nerve-wracking thing, is to try to get a pretty slice when it's the very first slice out of anything, any kind of pie, And so this one actually worked pretty well, and I think letting it rest like that, like I did, that helped so much. Now, I would have loved to serve this with a fruit salad. I think that would have been absolutely perfect. I didn't have enough fruit on hand to really make a fruit salad, so I actually ended up serving this just with sliced or kind of chunked tomatoes. So whatever you like to eat with your quiche, it'll be perfect. It'll be fine. This was so good. I highly recommend this recipe, and it was really easy and came together so quick. The longest thing really was having to wait for it to bake, and that was about it. So let's get into our tomato, cheddar, and beef macaroni. And y'all, this is a super easy recipe. It's a skillet meal, which I love. That means less dishes to clean up. And I'm just dicing my onion up here. I just put a whole onion in this. And this is kind of, reminiscent a little bit of like a hamburger helper type dish, because, you've got some cheese in here, you've got the pasta, it all cooks together, but it tastes very different than like hamburger helper, because you have the tomatoes and stuff like that that's going to go in here. But first we're going to start off by sauteing our onions. Now, of course, if you were using raw ground beef here, you would go ahead and cook your ground beef and onions together. I always, cook my ground beef in bulk, and then I freeze it, and so I just thawed some in the microwave, and then I added it to the pan once I kind of let my onions cook just a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some garlic and cook that for just another minute. Then we'll add in our diced tomatoes. Now, it usually calls for ones with basil, garlic, and oregano. I didn't have any on hand like that, so I just added basil, garlic, and oregano to it. And then the recipe calls for a cup of water, but I decided to use beef broth. I had some I needed to use up, and I thought that would just enhance the flavor. 1 cup of macaroni, and we'll add some shredded cheddar cheese later. And basically, you know, you want to bring this kind of to a little bit of a simmer. And then we're going to cover it and cook it for about 10 minutes. It could be 10 to 12. You really want to just check it, keep an eye on it, because, you know, different pastas cook differently, especially if you don't use macaroni, if you use a different kind. And even sometimes different brands of macaroni can cook a little different. And I do recommend you stirring about halfway through, just so it doesn't, like, you know, stick on the bottom. Of course, if you have like a non-stick pan you're using, it probably won't really stick. But oh, and I did add a little bit of garlic salt. I forgot about that. Just a little bit of that in there. I had not made this in a long time. It's actually on my blog, so I'll have that linked below. But it had been a long time since I made it. I kind of almost forgot about it. And it's so good and so simple. Like, especially, again, like those summer days where you just don't want to cook much. You throw everything in the pot. Of course, you could have like a side salad on the side if you want to, or whatever you'd like to. But it's such an easy meal. Now, once this simmers for a little bit, we're going to go ahead and add our cheese and stir that really well, and it'll be all nice and creamy too from that cheese. And I use sharp cheddar for mine. I feel like that's like my default cheese that I go to more than anything is sharp cheddar. I just love it so much. And don't forget to check out Tamara's channel. I'll have all of her information linked down below in the description box. I know she's going to be cooking up something delicious for you. She's always cooking up such yummy food. And then on top of that, she deals a lot with like videos to do with like, you know, prepping, as far as like, you know, building a pantry and like making sure you have stuff on hand just in case things happen. And that's so handy. I've kind of always tried to have extra things on hand when I could. But thank y'all so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. I hope you have a blessed day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.